This is Cosmographia, the Randall Carlson podcast. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Cosmographia Randall Carlson podcast, Grimerica show with Darren and Graham, and Brothers of the Serpent with Russ and Kyle, Swapcast extravaganza for the holiday season. Darren and Graham, we're glad to be with you guys. This is our first time as the Cosmographia team swapcasting and the live broadcast, so this is great. Thanks, guys.
A couple of firsts.
Yeah, two firsts.
Jingle all the way.
That's right. So we have a bunch of topics to talk about, and we're going to be doing, standard Grimerica ramblings, I think. Go wherever the conversation takes us. But the first thing I would like to talk about is upcoming trips and let's talk about the Contact the Cabins events and tell our listeners how all this got started and what we have coming up and how you guys, what was the genesis of this whole project?
I guess the genesis was like when Cyrus, I don't know if I should say his last name. I won't say his last name. When Cyrus, who actually is like the biggest Randall Carlson fan on the planet, possibly, he wanted to meet us real bad. And he just out of the blue offered to rent this cabin. And I'm pretty sure he got in trouble from his missus for renting this cabin with a bunch of podcast internet weirdos, and it wasn't super cheap. It was it was a nice cabin. We went there, it was 5-star cabin in the woods, this 5-star hunting lodge for the weekend. And we did a bunch of podcasting. And I think we did we were doing all these podcasts because at the time we were going to do this news sort of thing. We were going to call it unaffiliated media group or some bullshit. And it was I thank God we didn't, because we would have been stuck in the politics and everything like that. But anyway, we were recording episodes for this podcast that never happened. And episode 2, we called Contact at the Cabin because we were just looking for episode names. I think on the drive home, I think it might have been Michael or something like that, because we were talking about contact in the desert or contact this, and Michael's like, well, we had contact at the cabin, so that ended up being an episode title for one of our podcasts that ended up in our Black Budget feed. And then the next year when we went to Seaside, we just called it sort of Contact at the Cabin, and from there it turned into a whole thing where we did one with Randall, because so that's a whole nother story.
Well, that was after we met with Randall, because Cyrus was such a big Randall fan. He called in. He was always trying to talk to Randall, and I think he blew his load the first time he talked to Randall and couldn't even ask a question. But it was on one of our, I think we had a call-in show or something with him. He was first time, long time. And I think that might have been after Randall came to stay at Darren's that time, and we went and traveled around BC. So we followed you guys around BC, and that was kind of, I think, also part of the genesis of this whole contact thing, because we had such a great time chatting with everybody and driving around, and we thought we should do this on a regular basis.
Yeah,
was that Darren? Was that before that, Darren? That must have been quite a bit before the first official contact of the cabin.
Yeah, that was before the official one, because it was after that we went down there and met Brad in Spokane. After that, we missed Randall by 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that was 15. We came up to Calgary, and you guys went down to Okotoks with us, and then into the BC Rockies there for a day, right? And then it was 17, a couple summers later, right, when you guys came down, and we went up through Dry Falls, went down into the bottom of the canyon, beneath the cataracts there. Yep.
Lost my hat.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was looking for the video of you straining to look over the edge of the cliff there to see if you should run back to try to find your hat.
Well, when we get back out there this spring, we'll go down in there and we'll look for your hat.
Oh, wow, we can find it.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty impressed if we found it. I think it's a tailor-made one, or a Titleist or something. It's red. It's really a nice hat. It was my red hat. Actually, it's pretty risky to wear a red hat down there.
Yeah, that was before they were in style.
Yeah, that was before they were you get
or
hate
bad.
for them. Yeah, or bad.
So let me see. What year was that then when we all sat in and we had the sort of the group podcast there in the studio?
That would have been 2015. We had one when you guys came into town, and then we had one on the way out of town is when we sat in the garage till like
Right.
8 in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yep.
So that was 5 years ago already.
I remember listening.
Yeah.
to that.
See, while y'all were doing that, we were listening and we were like, man,
Yeah.
we need to start a podcast so we can also do this with all these guys.
And you know what's funny is we recorded Randall's ramblings in the garage without a podcast, and we had all these dreams of just like, editing it all up, but we still have it. But I don't think we did anything with
Never did
all
anything with it.
all the esoteric ramblings. But I mean, we just chatted for hours. It was
Yeah,
fantastic.
that was late night, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yep. So then
Well, because we had to fly out at like 4:30 in the morning, so
that's
we like slept for an hour or something, and then got up and packed and left out of there, and it dark.
Yeah, when I woke up, you guys were all just gone, and it's pretty hard to leave at the dark in August in Calgary because it gets
So
bright at 4 a.m.
So then the
It was
Contact at
early.
the Cabin event that happened in Colorado, which was the most recent one, with Randall, Kyle and I signed up for that. We signed up for like outdoor, the cheapest available tent spaces. We were like, let's freaking go to this trip. And then, and we didn't know any of you guys. And then the first Zoom conference that you hosted for all the attendees, Kyle and I showed up and we asked a couple of questions. And then your event coordinator asked us to host the Zoom conferences from then on. And we were like, we didn't know anybody. We didn't know Darren and Graham. We didn't know Randall or Blad. And this guy was just like, hey, you want to host these? And we're like, sure. So that started that. And then we still hadn't met you guys, didn't really know you until we went to the event. But by that time, you guys had asked us to just stay for the entire event. So we did that. We did a lot of driving, scared the hell out of some people. I'm a good driver, I promise. But yeah, it was a great time. And during that period, Kyle and I talked to Randall and Brad about, and Darren and Graham about getting a podcast, a regular podcast going for Randall. So it was really cool how the whole, the whole thing sort of had this genesis. Like we started, a big part of starting our podcast was listening to you guys, the Grimerica guys. We listened to you for years.
Yep.
So it was a huge, inspiration. We started our show, and then that led to us signing up for the trip of the Contact at the Cabin to go meet all of you guys. And then that led to us getting the podcast with Randall and Brad. And so here we are doing a Swapcast.
I think I heard a slightly different story. I heard you guys came into the Zoom call and insisted that you take it over. I don't know how you were like,
Yeah, well, it was clearly a coup.
The show.
Yeah, it was a coup. We completely took over. Yeah.
But I remember chatting with you guys one night late at the real Contact at the Cabin in Colorado and just brainstorming about, getting Randall out there and on a regular basis, because we had those Zoom calls and everybody was joining in and it was a fantastic vibe and momentum with all that. And we thought, Randall's got to have a regular sort of voice out there. And
yes,
we're kind of just trying to put
that's
everything
right
together.
We were planning it behind his back.
So happy that you guys came up with the Cosmographia and it's still going. I mean,
Well, yeah, and the first time, my first ever Zoom was with you guys.
Right.
When we were, doing the prep for the Contact at the Cabin in Southern Colorado. So we had a series of Zoom meetings so all the participants could come on and get briefed about the goals and the itinerary and what we were going to be doing and so on. But at that time, I thought that you guys were all old friends. I just didn't know. I saw Russ and Kyle and I thought, okay, these are friends of Grimerica.
Yeah. Right.
So I guess they're okay.
Well, we started doing that. We did that on Monday nights.
Slithering their way in there.
Slithering your way in there. Yeah. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. Well, if Russ and Kyle know these guys, they've got to be okay.
Must be all right.
So
actually, it didn't take long for us to warm up to those guys. I mean, it was fantastic meeting you guys. And right away, my girlfriend and I were like, those guys are cool. And I don't know, it just felt like very
a good
comfortable
fit.
right away.
A good
Stars
fit.
aligned.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
that event was amazing. I'll never forget it. So,
oh yeah,
The Colorado event.
yes,
I mean, it was amazing.
Yep, and everybody at the event, it was very similar with everybody. Just very instantaneous friendship.
Connection.
Yeah, and it was cool too because it was 3 groups total, and each group had their own very clear vibe, but all of them were awesome. But each group was definitely different from the other ones. Yeah. And but it was amazing. The first group was just, everybody was sort of meeting each other, and then they left, and then the second group showed up, and it's like, okay, we got to do this all over again. But they were just as cool, but completely different in a different way. It was amazing. I don't really have the words to describe it. So part of the reason we're talking about all this is because we're planning future events.
Well, the events, we hit the ground running when we got back.
Yeah.
And Darren, was like,
let's do more.
Blowing up all of our phones, like, all right, I'm renting this and we're booking this and everything, and building up more tours.
It's just that we got this going down, so we can't do anything.
That's it. That's what I was getting at. We got shut down. So, but
there's still big ones in the works. We're still planning those out. We started talking right away about different sites across the U.S. and places we want to go in Canada too. But then, the big ones out in the middle of the Atlantic there, we said Azores.
And
then we started talking Scotland, Ireland, UK. So we're gonna have a string of these here once
Gothic cathedrals.
Yeah, we need to go on the Grail Tour.
Well, yeah. So one of the tours we were talking about would be a Grail Tour, where all of the sites that have some relevance to the Grail stories, and that would actually have to be 2 tours because, France could spend easily a week in France, no problem, and the UK, no problem, a week there. So, when you start looking at, the area down by Cornwall, when you look at Glastonbury, when you look at Roslyn Chapel, when you start looking at Avebury and all of the sites around England and British Isles, but then you go to France and you've got the cathedrals and you've got, all that stuff in there that's associated with Chateau de Montreal. You've got Rennes Chateau. You've got Lourdes. You've got, the list goes on and on. So that would be a very cool trip to do. And of course, with that, we'd have to immerse ourselves in the Grail stories before we actually go. Otherwise, there's a whole dimension missing. So that we'll have to see. I don't know if that can happen in 2021, maybe. But then there's, Brad said, the Azores. That would be the Atlantis trip.
Yes.
And the Azores would be fabulous just by themselves without necessarily tying it in with the story. But like for that, the preparation would be everybody. We would study Plato's and read Plato's prologue to Timaeus and Critias to absorb 97% of everything that's been written about Atlantis, which came through Plato, and what he described specifically. And if people wanted to know more about that, we should go to the first, what was it, 4 episodes of Cosmographia?
Yeah, I think we did like a 5-part series on.
I think we did a 5-part series,
3 through 9.
Yeah,
3 through 9 on the whole, taking the whole, a whole examination in depth of Plato's 2 dialogues and how they might relate to possibly Atlantis. And I made the argument that if we start looking at all the details, there's one place that seems to be most consistent with the most details, with the least amount of fudging or changing or altering the narrative, and that would be the Azores. And I pretty much tried to lay out the case why that was. But maybe chart a yacht.
Yes.
What do you think? To cruise amongst the islands?
Call up the yachts, Darren.
I've been actually window shopping cruise ships.
All right.
There we go.
But I'm like 20 million short. What's the maximum you can go fund me or Kickstart or whatever? We'll do the The Randall Carlson cruise adventure of a lifetime.
Grimerica.ca/support.
Yeah, you just get on the boat and you never get off. This is it. It's a commitment. It's a commune boat.
All right.
Because I mean, let's be honest. These countries are going to shit. We might as well just hit the seas.
That's right.
You don't have to be vaccinated or anything. You can just come on free love.
Yeah.
Free.
That's right.
I need your vaccine passport.
International waters.
The free love.
I'm thinking that we should have a serious discussion about taking up piracy.
Yes.
Totally.
I'm in.
We're bringing guns, 100%. We'll hash all this out on the seas.
That's right.
Once we hit international waters. I mean, the tough thing about a contact at the cabin is it's a bit of a tug on your heartstrings. It's an emotional roller coaster. You go to these events, and it's kind of not like a regular conference, you go there and it's this sort of surreal thing. I mean, the one thing I might compare it to would be the early paradigm symposiums when we were going to that and everyone was hanging out in the hotels and, those events before they went totally sideways, were more about the after parties and the after hangouts and the hanging around the hotel, having a drink or smoking a joint and all that stuff than it was about the presentations. And quickly, that's what Contact at the Cabin almost sort of we embraced with that. And the problem with that is, I mean, especially when you do 3 in a row is, you got to say goodbye 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was hard.
It really is almost it's, creating this community of like-minded people that to me is so satisfying, and to get to know all these new people, and almost all of them are really cool people, and hang out with people like that for a week or two in these spectacular environments. By the end of it, you're good friends. And then, it's when you go back to normal life, it is kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Some of the people I've met
at
these contact events have, now I talk to them more than anyone else. They've quickly become some of my best friends, are the people that I've met at these events. And it's just like Randall said, because you have so much in common when you get there that you just you have a lot to start with.
There's ready-made conversations in all directions. Yeah, there's no trouble starting up talking with anybody that's there.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, Randall, how did you decide on Cosmographia? The name?
Well, cosmography is during the Renaissance times, cosmography was the kind of all-encompassing, intellectual discipline. Yeah, and it encompassed all the things that we're interested in. Geology and astronomy and geometry and cartography, maps, navigation, all of these kind of things were all under this umbrella. So the English version of it starts with a C. We went back and used K because that was the original Greek spelling, because it originally Cosmographia. You see, it's so that's kind of the whole idea. There was sort of, kind of wanting to connect with a little bit of history, and the stream of knowledge and learning that has come down through the centuries, that we're kind of like allying ourselves with that. We're allying ourselves with the Galileos and the Keplers and the Tycho Brahe and the Leonardos and the Newtons and all of those incredible people that, laid the scientific foundation for all the things that, the fact that we're sitting here having this Zoom conference right now, because of the fact that there are satellites orbiting the Earth. And so, it was kind of like an homage to that era, which is like the other side, when the whole scientific revolution, enlightenment was just beginning, was in its infancy. That was the term. And it was still at that point where a person could kind of have a working knowledge of all the primary scientific disciplines of the time, which of course.
Yeah, it was before it got too focused on materialism and that kind of thing. It was.
Too specialized. So,
too specialized.
Yeah. So, cosmography, you could think of Kepler as a cosmographer. Certainly Leonardo was, he was not only had his hands in art, but, in science and technology. And so, that was the idea. Cosmography is this all-encompassing idea. It's like mapping the cosmos. Think of it that way.
And you guys do series of topics and topical episodes?
Yeah. So like we were talking about 3 through 9 we were doing an analysis of Plato's 2 dialogues on Atlantis, and then looking at the geology and the astronomy and the geography that may support it or refute it. And I think we made the case that there is a lot of geology, geography, and astronomy, et cetera, that actually supports and is consistent with the details in Plato's account.
Nice.
Then we did what else? I mean, we did a long series on the work of around the Younger Dryas.
Yeah.
We kind of segued from
the dates line up.
Because the dates line up. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Plato gives the date for the final war between the pre-Hellenic societies inside the Mediterranean and the imperialist Atlantean culture from outside the Straits of Heracles that sailed in and attempted to subjugate all of the countries within the Mediterranean. And so this big war took place. And after this war, which was basically, he gave the date at 3 different points throughout the narrative, at 9,000 years prior to Solon's journey to Egypt. And Solon's journey to Egypt is usually dated around 600 BC. So you put the numbers, you do the numbers, and you come up with 11,600 years ago, plus or minus. And that was the end of the Younger Dryas, as we pointed out in the show. And it was also correlated with the second great meltwater spike into the global oceans, and a pulse of rapid sea level rise because of this tremendous inrush of meltwater. They call it meltwater pulse 1b. So we talked about that, and we sort of used that as the bridge to go, okay, well, now this brings us into the events at the end of the last ice age. So we have been pretty much on that theme since then, but we talked a lot about impacts and comets and the evidence for a Younger Dryas, a cosmic impact at the Younger Dryas boundary. And the recent episodes is we've been looking at the evidence for gigantic mega floods that would have been associated with the transition from glacial age to interglacial age, from Pleistocene epoch to Holocene epoch. So we've been looking at that. We talked some about the mass extinction of the megafauna that took place then, which is always interesting. And so we've been talking about flood stuff. Lately, we've been talking about the drumlins. And the drumlins are the subglacial features that were probably produced by massive subglacial meltwater floods that shaped the glacial till into these streamlined hills, right? So we've been looking at that. We had Jerome Lessman from the University of Vancouver Island, who is an expert on drumlins, and he came on and we did a whole show with him explaining all the basis of drumlins and how they're formed through turbulent subglacial meltwaters. So we've been looking at that, and we've been mapping the pattern of great meltwater features, the huge oversized channels that the rivers are flowing in, the tunnel valleys, the drumlins, and so on. So that's...
Speaking of the mapping, though, we've been using some new USGS software that's out there. They've had the national map available online that you could browse around on, but now in the last year and a half, I think it premiered. They've got an advanced viewer that's got all these different layers that you can put on. So Randall's been browsing around with us, showing these drumlin fields, showing these tunnel valleys. We've been cruising through New York State and into Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin. The features are just everywhere. And then most recently up into Ontario also. And this new software has layers that basically eliminates the trees and the foliage and the vegetation. And you can see the landforms so clearly that driving around or even flying over it, you don't get that sense of how these landscapes have been formed and shaped. And it really becomes clear, that there was massive ice moving things around, and then there was massive amounts of water shaping things afterward. And it's really extraordinary that we've got the capability to look at the world right now. And Randall spends a lot of time browsing those. It's cool.
Yeah. Is that the world or just North America or just America?
Well,
Did
that
you check out Central America as well and see some
I haven't
of
looked at
the
Central. I've been focused on Canada and the U.S.
It's mostly North America. I've tried to look in other
primarily.
places, so it's USGS. It goes up into Canada.
Yeah,
doesn't go very far south.
Right.
And they're looking to have the complete LiDAR coverage in the next 2 or 3 years. So now that there's a cloud that all this can be held into and people can, access it freely without having to dig into these government computers, they've gotten all that stuff available now. So there's about 60% coverage, I think, now. I was just looking for some new maps today with the LiDAR, and they're going to get the rest of it covered and all that be available.
And going back to the podcast, it's the fact that we can all sort of every week we come together, Randall and Brad, Kyle and I, and normal guy Mike. And Brad and Randall usually have a ton of pictures and slides from previous expeditions or other photos that they've found. Plus, Randall will pull up these maps and zoom around on them and be able to point things out to you and just move, like, look over here, check out this channel, look how this works, and then switch to a picture of it and show you, what it looks like in real life. Then go back to the LiDAR data. It's been really, and, so on the podcast, we're constantly learning geological terms. And Randall's giving Kyle and I crap because we can't remember them. So Kyle's learned to write them down. It's a lot of fun. And, it's interesting because I think in my mind, when we were starting the podcast with Randall, the purpose of it was I had tried to find pretty much every interview that Randall had done. Like a lot of people, once you hear him on Joe Rogan or whatever, you go and try to find, I want to hear this guy talking everywhere, so you go track down everything you can find. So Randall's done a lot of interviews, and those are usually big picture interviews. Because he's got 2 hours or he's got 3 hours or whatever. And he comes in and he tries to give a big picture, but he's also very detail oriented. And so the purpose of the Cosmographia platform is to give him a place to go through all of the details that allows him to give this big picture on the interviews he does. And so that's what we've been doing, just like one after the other, these episodes. And we're going through the scientific papers, and we're looking at the nanodiamonds and the other impact proxies and reading sections of the paper and just really getting into all the details that has in the past through the interviews allowed him to give these big picture, interviews. So that's what's been great for me about it. And Brad's been with Randall for, researching with him for over 20 years. So he knows all these details already. So those two guys working together, to do these shows it's been fantastic just to be a part of it. So,
and we're like the classroom over here.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That gives it a
fit. You guys were a perfect fit because you guys have that like super keen interest in geology and stuff like that. That just sort of, makes, once you get into the super details of that, it just sort of, my eyes start to glaze over and, I just,
Well, and Randall loves having a student to teach. I've heard of it, and our buddy normal guy Mike that's on us has heard parts of it for the last 10 years. We've known him also, but Russ and Kyle are just totally open to it, and they've got geologic background, and they've done a lot of exploration, so they can get it quickly, and they ask good questions, and it's really been a good symbiosis, I think, so far. But we're spending so much time getting into the details of this catastrophe at the end of the Ice Age. Because Randall's mentioned several times, it's like the veil that's blocking us from seeing what human history might have been beforehand, and why we don't know about it, because this catastrophe was so extraordinary and really global in a lot of ways that it makes sense that everything was pretty much washed away.
That's kind of what I was going to ask you guys. Yeah. I was going to ask you if it seems like, and I don't know if you guys agree or not, but your research is more relevant now than ever to bring context to what's happened to us in the not so distant past, and maybe what kind of effect we might be having on the earth or not,
Yeah.
To see those, I remember that picture from the last Zoom call we had about the trip where North America is covered in that, or not the top of North America, Canada and the northern states, just in that massive ice sheet. Massive glaciers. I mean, to me, that totally just buried. Says a lot right there,
Yeah, you guys are screwed, man. Come to Texas.
Texas. Speaking of Matt, no, just kidding. Texas is great. I might come to Texas next month.
Hey, you're welcome here anytime.
Right
buddy.
now, the flights are dirt cheap. But anyway, I was going to say, speaking of symbiosis and mega floods and younger dryas and hargabis and making best friends at these contact at the cabin events, I mean, we're essentially 5 months away, God willing, from doing this all again. And kind of at, what you could say is the Genesis tour of the mega flood start, kind of starting up there in the Northwest, right at we might come up into Canada eventually, but I would say there's still at least 6 spots left for the Scablands tour. It's a 5-day event. If you go to contactatthecabin.com/Carlson, there's a rough itinerary there, all the lodging info and stuff like that. And if we might even have the chance to expand that a bit. I mean, we had already talked to the resort earlier about expanding it or adding a second week. So, if all this stuff we were talking about at the front of the show sounds good, and you're one of these guys like Russ and myself that track down every Randall interview because you can't get enough of it, then maybe you want to come and hang out and check out all these sites in tour with Randall and Brad and get all the scoop firsthand. And then then the sun goes down and we hoot and holler and play instruments and sing and it's really more of a festival. It's like a cross between a conference and a festival and a meetup and all these fantastic things. But I promise you won't go home thinking, man, I should not have come to this thing.
But we're officially calling them protests because
they can't stop
funerals,
you.
Or
it makes it totally legit.
Or funerals or weddings or something. It depends. We'll play it state by state.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well,
I think I might have a funeral for Christmas. I might have a funeral for my turkey named Butterball. He passed away, sadly.
And the dates on that trip coming up in May is Monday the 3rd, people are arriving, and then through Saturday the 8th. So
that's
first week of May.
The idea is we're trying to have a very rich intellectual experience, but also an equally rich emotional experience by connecting with these landscapes and with really cool people and eating good food and really having the adventure. So on the one hand, we're going to be talking about science and looking at, going out in the field and looking at these sites, analyzing these sites, seeing how they fade into the big picture. But then we're also going to be having a lot of fun too. That's the idea. Like Darren was saying, when we did Colorado, we had several parties afterwards. We'd get together, we'd play some music, have some good food. Yeah. So
Randall
that would
did
be
a lecture each night or two. Yep. We packed a lot into those 3 days for each group.
Yeah.
Packed a lot into the muffins.
Yeah. The muffins. And then mention that we did that series of Zoom conferences prior to the event, and we will be doing the same thing with the Great Floodlands tour this May.
Yeah, with any future event.
That's
any our plan. So if you sign up, not only do you get to go out there on the tour, but you get to join a sort of a Zoom conference like this, and we do at least 4, sometimes more, depending on what's happening, to sort of prep everybody, all attendees get invited.
And you get familiar with each other, and there's a chat room, and so you already kind of have visited with everybody before you even get there, which makes it even more cool.
Well, let's.
We've already done. Oh, sorry, Randall. We've already done one for the Scablands, and if you sign up, that'll be something that's available to you to get back and watch and make sure you're caught up.
Well,
so I was going to say though. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I wanted to throw in that all these fabulous people will be there, and also Dave Matheson.
That's right.
Exactly.
Star guy.
Yeah.
Let me finish up there. Just that we're going to do one each month leading up to May. So there's a Zoom call with the group that's going to go to the Scablands for February, March, and April, and then we go in May. So
are we still getting Brandon Powell too?
Well, we were looking at Brandon Powell if we did a second week.
Okay.
But I mean, if I'm being honest, I just talked to Brandon the other day. He's just wants to come. He'd love to come.
Yeah.
He'd be there. We could get him he'd love to be there. He had such a blast in Colorado that he, all things notwithstanding, he is eager to meet up with us all again.
Well, that was the other aspect of our last one that people might not know about. He's one of Wim Hof's top trainers, and we were doing the breath work every morning in the big living room, which was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was a great way to start the day. We would do the breath work, then we would have breakfast, and then we would head out with Russ and Kyle at the wheel.
That's right. Risking everyone's lives.
Some spots left for we've got an event April 8th to 11th with Brandon Powell. We had a bunch of cancellations not a bunch, but enough cancellations on the reschedule that there's some room there.
Oh yeah.
So if you're interested in going and doing that Wim Hof stuff, we're going to do the cold training and everything. And you get a cool contact at the cabin with the logo that Kyle drew up on a cocktail napkin. We've got those on a bunch of towels for everyone that comes out, because what we're going to do is we're all going to stay at this Alpine Ski Lodge. We're going to do this cold training, and then we got to get a bunch of kiddie pools. We'll fill them up with ice. We'll do the cold training. We might look at doing some on location cold stuff as well when we go to Bryce and Zion Canyons. One night we're going to go to Bryce Canyon. The next night we're going to go to Zion Canyon, head out in the afternoon, do a little hiking before dark. We're going to have dinner, meet us out there. We're going to have the same fabulous cooks, Keith and Gage, that were with us in Pagosa Springs. They'll be cooking for us again, where they're going to cook the food to go. They're going to meet us out there, say 6 p.m. at the park someplace to have dinner. And then we're going to, stay out till midnight or so and just watch the stars while David Matheson regales us with mythology.
Yeah.
Is David going to be at the Floodlands tour?
David is going to be at the Floodlands tour, so we will be doing some of that there as well. Yeah, exactly. Except without the canyons, we'll have the Scablands as a backdrop. And
we'd be up in Grand Coulee or up at Steamboat Rock. Would be an awesome place to have some star lore.
Yeah, we're going to do that a couple of nights during the Scablands trip as well. So the stargazing available at both events, and check it out. If you just go to contact@thecabin.com, that's a good place to get to all the events. And then, of course, now there is randallcarlson.com as well, which has any other events that Randall's doing. And I guess everything Randall Carlson is finally available in one place.
That's right.
We're doing one place and one place only official for Randall Carlson. And we are planning, Brad and I and my brother Rowan are planning a brief, we're calling it a backyard tour into the Appalachians and the Cumberland Plateau area, which has got some incredible stuff that most people don't know about. For some reason, people think spectacular canyons and things like that. People start thinking Utah and Arizona. Thing about the Southeast is it tends to be obscured because we've got so many trees. But we're going to be putting up the itinerary of that, and it'll be some pretty amazing stuff. And so we'll be doing that. We're calling it the Cumberland Tour. So it'll be
northeast Alabama and just barely into Tennessee around the Chattanooga area where Lookout Mountain is, and then into far northwest Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the backyard we're talking about. Randall's down near Atlanta. I'm in North Carolina. So yeah.
What does leafing out mean?
Well, the trees, deciduous trees lose their leaves in the winter, Graham.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was like greening out. I thought it was like what happened to a lot of people at CAC.
No.
I was leafing out, greening out brownies.
Deciduous trees lose their leaves in the fall, and then they come back in the spring, Graham.
We just call it fall in Canada. We don't call it leafing out.
Well, no, leafing out is in the spring when the leaves come out. See?
Okay.
Leafing off and leafing out.
Leafing out.
Leafing, yeah. Okay, so the leafing out, so that means when we go before the leaves all come back to the trees.
Nice.
So that you can still see stuff. Yeah. That's the idea.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Okay, but I thought we should look at a few pictures from Colorado.
What's happened to Darren's mic?
Well, you can't hear me?
Well, now that's good right there.
Well, I was trying to stop because I was like trying to get in and then stop, and I was, second guessing myself. So I was like, it probably sounded like I was breaking up.
Okay.
I was going to mention the things you learn about internationally is when you guys all visited is when I first learned that Americans wear their shoes in the house. This was a surprise to me. That's a cultural thing. And you know what? Every place I've gone in the U.S. since then, everyone wears their shoes in the house. I can't believe it.
Yep.
Oh, really?
As long as they're not muddy, but it was almost always muddy there in Colorado. So all of us had multiple pairs of shoes.
Totally.
Randall's obviously not wearing shoes.
I'm wearing slippers now.
So
the other thing we wanted to mention quick is that RandallCarlson.com is where everything Randall Carlson is. Sacred Geometry International is not anything Randall Carlson affiliated.
Well, there's still Randall Carlson stuff there, but not authorized to be there. We'll put it that way.
And leave it at that for now. Yeah.
For now, yes.
RandallCarlson.com, people. If you're not there, then it's not officially Randall Carlson or Cosmographia, obviously.
Yeah,
that's right. And so RandallCarlson.com has, it's a brand new website. It's beautiful. Professionals built it, and it's got everything related to the podcast. It also has blog posts that Randall is writing for it, and he's doing audio versions of those. There's merchandise there, so if you want one of these awesome Cosmographia t-shirts, or other merch, we're getting more. Randall's made compasses. There's the platonic solids that they make out of various types of wood that you can get there. All kinds of cool stuff. All available at the website, and more is always coming. So yeah, there's one of the framework.
The framework of a dodecahedron.
Yes.
What, I can buy one of those on the website?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you can.
Yeah, and we're just on the home stretch of building our new shop.
Yeah. So they're building a shop to start being able to mass produce a lot of these objects, because Rowan and Randall build these. They design and build them themselves. They're good. They got a good carpentry crew.
Yeah,
so.
And they use beautiful wood, and some of the solid
gorgeous
panel ones are just awesome looking.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the dodecahedrons.
Yep. You need a giant set of dice, Graham. That's what I was telling you. You need to order them. So you need to roll them out on the table, right? They're perfect.
Yeah,
there you go.
Okay, sorry guys. I was.
I got you. You got a Cosmographia.
What's happening, Randall?
He's having a catastrophe. Right now.
Oh, okay.
I think there was a mega flood on the desk or something.
He had a mega flood.
Brad, that's one of the original Grimerica shirts from the very first batch.
Yeah, I've got one of those. Graham and I did a podcast shirt swap at the Contact at the Cabin event. So
this is the best hoodie I've ever owned, and I heard it's a one of a kind.
That hoodie is amazing. Yeah.
There's more of them now, but yeah, I still have my Brothers of the Serpent hoodie too.
Yeah,
it's a little tight though.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was a little small. I hadn't got swole yet.
I still wear it with pride.
Yeah, dude, this is a great hoodie.
So we're also
all wearing each other's shirts. That's cute.
Mentioned you guys have been talking to now. We're working with HowTube. Mike Robertson, CEO of HowTube. They're the ones who developed the website, and they're going to be hosting all of the Cosmographia podcasts and, the Grimerica podcasts if you guys want to do that. So that door is open. But, we've signed up 2 other flagships. One is the after school fellas who've done cool. They are going to be.
Pull your mic up a little bit. You're a little quiet.
Who, me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what the problem there.
There we go.
Much better.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It was a consequence of the cataclysm. So so there's now the after school, what is it, Sacred Numbers and things, got over 500,000 views so far in 8 days. So that's pretty good. I guess people are finding it of interest. So after school is going to be one of the flagship sites under the HowTube banner.
Excellent.
So anybody who goes to randallcarlson.com, you'll be able to find out about HowTube, which is going to be a new platform that's going to hopefully, rectify the imbalance that's been caused by the tech giants and their censorship and so on. So I was thinking
over there for sure. We need to get off where we're at.
Yeah. Well, hey, yeah, you guys yeah. Let me put
a wild card, though. He should, we're a bit of a wild card.
I think Mike's okay with that. We thought he was pretty conservative when we first met him, but as we've gotten to know him, I'm starting to, find out that he's got a wild side. So, I think you're cool. Yeah.
Randall, your co-host wants into the studio.
I see that, and I explained to the co-host that, look, once you're out, you're out.
Right.
I'm going to let you through here, but you can go around the other way, and you can get out the door. You don't have to come through here. Which brings me to the other point. As soon as we're through with our shop, we're shifting right over, and we're going to build a new studio.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, we said give Joe Rogan a run.
Yeah.
We're going to,
Dodecahedron.
And what?
You're going to make
Dodecahedron.
Our studio is we're going to be inside a giant dodecahedron.
Nice.
That would be cool.
Well, that would be cool. But I don't think that's it. We have an unfinished room. We have an unfinished room on the back of my house, and we're going to finish it off in the studio. And it'll be a studio temporarily for a year or two until we actually build a freestanding one on our property.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
All right. I think now we could get to some slides.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. So I'll do a share screen here, and
here we go.
But let's see. The one I was looking for is not here. Let's see. I just had it open. You know what? I should probably let this dog through here, or the dog is going to be.
Yeah, people are in the chats actually saying the dog looks sad.
Yeah, you need to let the dog in.
You're going to have to get a longer blanket over there. So,
look,
still be able to hear.
I explained to you that once we started, you weren't supposed to come bothering us anymore. Didn't I explain that to you? Okay.
He's sorry.
I'll be right there. Hang on.
How many episodes of Cosmographia now?
We got 55, but it's not up yet.
Working on 55 right now.
So you got 54 released already?
Just put out 54 yesterday.
Has it been over a year then?
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost a year and a half.
So when we came back from Contact at the Cabin, the four of us and Mike had Zoom meetings regularly once a week where ideas were fleshed out and talked about, and we were also looking into software that we were going to be using. We bought equipment, we had it shipped, got Randall set up in his own studio. So there was a lot of just organizational stuff. Where are we going to start? We need a logo, we need a website, we need all this. So we worked on all that, got that all as we were getting that put together. Then we actually recorded the first episode as a trial run. It was like, when we finished, we were like, dude, that was freaking awesome.
That was awesome. Let's
more. Just keep doing that. And so then we got the RSS feed set up and all the accounts and everything. And Brad started doing the editing and I started doing the audio, and up they went.
So we just basically carried on the schedule that we started doing the Zooms once we figured out working Zoom for the monthly meetings or the weekly meetings there with the Pagosa Springs crowd. We just kept going on Monday night, and we've stuck with it. And it's been, almost 2 years now. We've been doing Monday night meetings, and that's when we record. So we really, started that momentum because of the Contact at the Cabin event. So that's been, the genesis of many great things, and many more great things to come, I'm sure.
Yeah. And we've been, we still have meetings and try to figure out, well, what do we like about the show? What do we want to change anything? And, there's little tweaks here and there. Make sure, especially that Randall is being able to present his material in the way that he prefers, which is the most important thing. And then in a way that Brad can edit it properly. So it's been a pleasure working with you guys, and, definitely also with the tours, working on organizing all that stuff. And I just can't wait for those to come to fruition.
Yeah.
And hopefully soon we'll find some better platform than Zoom to do these, to do our podcast, because we need more control over the video and audio quality.
That's
from
right.
because we're all remote. You know, if we were all sitting in the same studio together, it
Wouldn't
would
be a
be
problem.
not a problem at all.
Once we start the mystery school, though, we'll just all hang out there.
There you go.
That's right.
Bingo.
That's exactly right, Darren. And Darren is not talking facetiously. He is
That's
actually talking. This is the long range plan. So over the next few months, in addition to all the other stuff, we'll be kind of divulging some plans that we've been developing. And
Good plans.
this is where it could get really fun and interesting.
That's right.
The
But
blueprints.
should we look at a few pictures from the contact at the cabin in Colorado?
Yes. Let's look.
Let's do.
Uncensored.
Oh, the censored or the uncensored ones?
Uncensored.
All right. Are we all seeing this?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that guy.
All right. Check this out. Now, this is pretty impressive. So where is this? Well,
I know where it is. There. Somebody over
I
there.
know. I'm asking Russ and Kyle.
Yeah.
Darren?
Is that Chimney Rock?
Yeah. Chimney. You can just see the tops
Okay.
of Chimney Rocks right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I was confused.
This was one of the sites we went to, an archaeoastronomy site.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive one, as a matter of fact. Let's see if I can. All right.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, you remember that? That is looking into the valley of the Animus,
Animus,
see
it's just north of Durango.
just north
That's-
of Durango.
That's from that little sort of pavilion that was built up on top of the hill, the Lion's Den.
Lion's
The
Den.
Lion's
There you
Den,
go.
yeah.
Yep.
And that was a beautiful structure. And then you were talking to us about, I remember you standing up here and holding forth for a while about the tongue of the glacier coming down. And then you pointed out the hills in the front and how that was the terminal moraine.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind. I'd never seen a valley that was created in that fashion. And
Or
that
at
was
least
really-
not recognized it before.
and never recognized it for
Yeah.
sure. But that was awesome.
Is that what you were looking down on when the vans were dodging the rock slides on the way up the Mesa Verde hill?
No, this was just that we made a little side excursion to here. And if you're looking at this now, you can actually see this is some terminal mooring right here, this hill. And it was continuous over here, but they've excavated a lot of it because as the valley floor is getting developed, the evidence of the presence of the glaciers is getting more and more obscured and erased. But you can see right over here on the left, that's terminal mooring. So in other words, this is the material that was sort of bulldozed in front of the glacier snout that came from these mountains. Picture during the Ice Age, these mountains were almost completely buried under ice. And the ice tongue came all the way down this valley, scraping the sides of these hills. That's why they're bare here. Came down, and the snout of that glacier terminated and fluctuated pretty much right in this valley floor right in front of us. And that was why we actually went here, was so that I could point out the moorings to people. But I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know to what extent the moorings were still going to be intact. And they're getting obscured, but there's still enough there that one can actually see the piles of gravelly, bouldery debris that was, and if you could see the other side of the valley, you would see that these were arc shaped, because that's sort of the lobe, the glacier lobe. Let's see, we might be able to see more in this one.
So this is an example of people living right on these Ice Age remnants, but you can't really see them. But once you look at these maps that clear all that away, it's like, oh, well, that's pretty obvious what happened there.
Yeah. So, like right here, there's houses built on top of the terminal mooring. And I'm just wondering how many of these people, like, did the people who live here, do they realize, hey, we're living on top of a terminal mooring? Maybe they
know what that is.
Unlikely.
So, but let's see here. Let's jump ahead. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, there's Darren.
Yeah, I
Hey,
recognize
that's me.
that guy.
What a nice letter. What happened to that?
Where are you here, Darren?
Is that me? It is me.
Yeah, that's you.
I don't know where I got that shirt.
Well, I don't know either. If you don't know, I don't know.
Is that Mesa Verde?
Yeah.
I know why you don't remember that shirt.
Yeah, I can probably name a few reasons why you don't remember.
Much we?
Let's
Remember that giant
take a look at it. What does that say?
I must have borrowed that from someone because I was cold.
Yeah, it's like a newspaper print or something.
All right.
We're up on the rim of Mesa Verde there.
Yep.
We're looking to the south pretty much. And let's see, can we see?
Is that where we could see that other formation real far, far away? What was that called?
Shiprock?
Yeah, it was Shiprock out the other direction.
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
think
to
so.
recall which stop that is, if that's right as soon as you get in the park or even before we got into the park.
This is where we're coming up on the rim,
Right.
up onto the plateau.
Yep.
Yeah.
What a wild view from up there.
I know it. God, wasn't it though?
And then
It
there
is.
was all those little, like the added bonus of all those little, like abandoned little ruins and villages from the Pueblo people, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like so many sheer falls where you could just instantly fall to your death.
Uh-huh.
We had waivers though, so you know, if you do come to an event, you will be signing a waiver.
And we only lost a couple on the trip. I mean,
Yeah, we
yes,
didn't
we
lose
had
that many.
4%.
but we are going to recover the remains at some point. So
That's right.
So that was
Yeah, we were on a tight schedule, so we decided we'd have to come back for the for the recovery.
yeah, our general policy is leave no man behind, but you know, sometimes you have to make exceptions.
That's right.
Like when you're in a hurry to get to the next
To the next site.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, you remember it was quite windy and chilly that day.
Oh yeah.
I think it snowed once when we were up there, didn't it?
Well, it did.
Definitely.
Yeah, the second group we went up there, it was a blizzard practically.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, here we are. Some of these amazing
See that
canyons
shit?
up on the surface, the top of the plateau was a mystery about how they were carved up here on the top of the plateau. I mean, where was the water source to feed the erosion that created these canyons? That was the mystery. These are some pretty impressive canyons. Let's see. And here we go.
There's one of those little villages down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So, yeah,
they
this
were
is-
not little
No.
either. I mean,
Oh no.
4-story buildings inset into that canyon.
but they looked little.
Yeah.
Right. And is this the one we stayed in? No, we didn't stay in any. That's
79 a night.
Yeah, so this is two different ones here. See, that's one, and then this is another one.
And yeah, it's hard to imagine the scale here too, because I
Right.
mean those cliffs are huge, and it's not like the land at the bottom where the dwellings are comes out and is flat. It literally drops off again to another massive cliff, and we're just like, how?
Yeah. Who?
How?
And-
Why?
Yes.
Yeah, how do you raise kids at a place like this?
Yeah, look at the
Yeah.
cliff down below that thing.
Yeah, here
I
you
mean,
go.
do you remember that
Yeah.
trail we walked down in the gorge? I mean, that was,
Oh yeah,
you know,
To go see the petroglyphs? Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
treacherous.
It's not like you could just do that stroll daily, you know?
Nope.
No, and I
No.
remember reading one of the plaques was talking about the first, I guess, tour guides that went up into Mesa Verde to look at the cliff dwellings. I think it was a 10-day trip. They took horses, like took wagons part of the way, and then horses, and then they had to hike and with pack animals the rest of the time. And I mean, just to get there.
Yeah,
So it's amazing that these people, whoever they were, what they were doing there, and that they built so much in this remote place.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and pictures obviously don't do it justice. Look, you can actually see some people over here to kind of give you a sense of the scale.
Oh yeah.
In fact, that might be you guys.
No, it takes a while to get around to that other side.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
You see the people. Well, you flip past it, but yeah, there's a bunch of people going on a tour through it.
Yeah.
Wild pictures of people on the edge of cliffs, though, and we had that folder going for a while where everybody was uploading the pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember playing in those ruins.
Yeah, so Mesa Verde was an all-day trip. We got up pretty early, ate breakfast immediately, and left.
Oh, there's Mark.
Yeah.
Yep, there's Mark. Yep.
Yeah, he was in our entourage.
Yep, he did the whole thing in Birkenstocks.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Snow day and all, yeah.
There was, let's see. There's Kyle. Is this Russ?
That's me with the backpack, I think.
There's Mark again, I think, up on the cliffs there. I remember crawling down to that thing too.
Oh, down into the Kiva?
Yeah. What's that? I hope that's not like a latrine.
Yeah, I've got that picture where Darren is poking his head out of this hole. This was
a cool place.
It was.
Yeah, and so the great thing about the trips, both Chimney Rock and Mesa Verde, was that we were looking at both these ancient ruins and this geology. And studying them both, and wondering if they're related or what the context is, and how did both of them happen? So there were two mysteries to explore the whole time, and it was just really great. And then each night during the trip, Randall would give a presentation, sometimes on either maybe what we were going to look at the next day, or when we had done both of the when we had already gone to Chimney Rock and then Mesa Verde, that night he would give a presentation on just whatever he decided he wanted to talk about. And it was just, man, the whole trip was amazing. And then we would party and jam out, and it was great.
I remember it really coming home to me that when Randall would describe that this was all built around the same time as other things in the global civilization, like from the European and South American, all around the same time.
Yeah, Indochina, yeah. So, and this was cool. I mean, like when we were here, we pretty much had this place to ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah. And
we had almost all the places we showed up to ourselves. Actually, Chimney Rock was a little crowded.
Right. But, there was that which group? We had a group up there, and the guy just says, okay, well, I'm heading back down. See y'all later.
Yeah.
And left us there to perform our satanic rituals. No, we didn't do that.
There was a few rituals performed, but they weren't satanic.
What were they?
Mostly standing around in circles, passing around.
Okay.
Wheatgrass.
Yeah.
Was that the Atlatl Championship? The world champion Atlatl guy?
Yeah, we did a mock-up of a Colombian mammoth.
Remember the night we seen all the moons of Jupiter through that crazy binocular set?
I don't know.
Yeah, so people brought spotter scopes.
Archer brought that awesome spotter scope.
Yeah. That's right. And we had lasers.
Awesome. I'd like to hear an update.
Wow. Here's Darren again.
Yep.
What am I doing?
I don't know.
Suspect.
Should we dare we zoom in and take a look?
Wow. I don't think anyone's surprised.
Okay, well, never mind.
What a shocker.
Okay. Well, apparently some of the other group finds it of interest.
Yeah, I think they're
watching, huh?
Yeah, let's see.
Waiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was ceremonial.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be anything.
Yeah, it could be, right.
You got any of the chalet itself?
I think so. Yeah.
What a great spot that was, eh?
Yeah, that was extraordinary.
Coyote Village.
Okay.
There's the one with Shiprock way out there.
There's Shiprock off in the distance. How far did we figure that was away? 40 miles or something?
Wait, doesn't that mean the Earth is flat?
Oh man, I thought it was farther than that. I don't remember. I was thinking it was maybe 80, but yeah, that's 1,700 foot. What do you call it? A diatreme out there, northwest New Mexico.
Yeah. So this was once the surface of the land, 1,700 feet higher than it is now, and it's all eroded away, and only the hard basalt of that volcanic neck remains. But yeah, it's 1,700 feet high. It's an impressive geological feature, but of course we didn't get down there. We didn't have time, but it was cool to be able to see it in the distance.
Would that be close to Four Corners?
Yeah, still pretty close.
Yeah, still pretty close.
I mean, closer than Mesa Verde.
To Four Corners, yeah.
Yeah.
There
We'll
you can
check that out next time. And then the Grand Canyon can't be far from there either. Like, we just need a couple months down there with some RVs.
There we go.
Yes.
With some
Yes,
RVs,
but the gentleman that rented you the cabin, he was a really cool guy too. You guys did a podcast with him.
Oh yeah.
He was a lawyer that was just like really interested in pyramids. You remember that?
And he did talks on synchronicities. I mean,
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
dude, that was a great show. And he came by the cabin one evening and visited with everybody. And it was a really nice place.
Yeah, we should definitely consider going back there one day.
Yeah.
It would be great to go back there. And I forget what was the like the house guy's name that like lived at the house, and
Ken.
Oh yeah.
Ken. Yeah, Ken was fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be great to get back up there again for another
cool guy. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had 20 plus people in the house. I mean, it had however many 11 rooms or 13 bedrooms or something, and then people in tents set up outside.
Yep. And they set up the grounds for us to do camping real nice. They put chipped wood out everywhere so it wouldn't be muddy. It was really nice. And look, in this picture, I think I may have just found an arrowhead.
Yeah, that's Kyle's arrowhead face.
I'm just like, oh,
Arrowhead face.
You're obviously looking at something there. Yeah, so this is the parking lot at the base of the Chimney Rock. So we're all gathering to make our climb up to the top to see the observatory and the kiva, the Great Kiva, and the rocks themselves. I don't remember which group this was.
It all sorts of melds together.
Well, like we talked about, the second group, it was snowing and really cold. The third group, it was pretty much perfectly sunny. So a bit of a clue.
Well, it's sunny in this picture.
Yeah, so that's group 3 there.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I must have had my other camera. So here we got Chimney Rock. So we climbed up there. We didn't climb to the top of Chimney Rock, but just on the other side of the pinnacle there that you see was the observatory, which should be in the next picture. You can actually see it's 2 rocks, because the astronomical significance is that you can use the space between the 2 rocks to line up with the solstices and the equinoxes. So let's see. Yeah, here we are
and the moon too, right? I think
the lunar.
Oh yeah.
Lunar cycles.
Yeah. Here we
There
go. There you can see the slot between the 2 rocks. So that is being used as a sighting to line up with the position on the horizon. Yeah, there we go.
I was there.
Scale Man was a little close in that one.
Yeah. And let's see. I think we got some.
So that's the lake
the
at the property there. Yeah.
Yeah, but where's the
cabin there?
Where's the resort itself? Let's see. We're back at Mesa Verde. Let me click on through.
Yeah, those were out of place.
Well, remember, see, we went there 3 times.
Taru.
I remember that waterfall. Yeah.
Where was the waterfall?
Rainbow Falls. That one on the way up to the Continental Divide.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which night in it was it that everyone got caught in the blizzard?
Well, remember when we first got to the Rainbow Falls, it was snowing pretty heavily.
Right.
We went through quite a bit of snow on the I-70 too. When you got up to the super high elevations, it would be snowing.
We're looking
the
back
first
at
full day after Group 2 got there.
We're looking back here at Wolf Creek Pass. So we're looking to the west here, and just behind us is the Continental Divide. And this, I'm going to think that must be Kyle right there.
Yeah.
Cut your hair, hippie.
I know it. Some diluvium. Okay. Well, yes, snowing. Let's see. Let's see. So I must be on my other folder that I've got pictures of the actual facility that we stayed in.
And of course, when we go in May, we'll be staying at the Soap Lake Resort.
Yeah. And let's do another quick.
Yeah. Got some pictures of that too.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little different setup, but it's still going to be, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So this is right there at the south end of Soap Lake, which is at the south end of Grand Coulee. So this is right in the middle of the whole complex. So we're going to be using this as our base of operations. Let's take a look here at all of these cabins here are part of it. And yeah, so here's the south end of Soap Lake. And you're just seeing the beginning of Grand Coulee there.
So each room has got 2 faucets, one for regular water and one for the hot spring water. So you got your own hot spring tub in every room.
Yeah, so we've reserved this place, and this will be our base of operations. Oh, well, of course it won't be snow while we're there. I'm just looking at these. These are on the internet. So this is the website of the place. So these are not pictures that I took. But you can see here the cabins are quite nice, and the location is great. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Let's see and they own their own restaurant, and they're going to do all the catering, right?
They're catering as well, yeah. So we'll when you show up, they'll give you a bunch of either right before you get there or when you show up, you'll get to choose between a couple of things. Yeah. Well, there's some snow.
Yeah. So,
that's what it looks like. And we got like the most snow we've got 10 years yesterday, the day before. My backyard, they got 2 feet of snow back there.
Wow. Nice. Look at this. Well, I don't think it's going to look like this in May.
Maybe not.
Probably not.
If it is, I won't be able to drive there.
So yeah, well, people will be staying in these cabins, or I think there's some other places nearby. I mean, there might be a motel or 2 in town, and then of course there's
what are those little pod things?
That's what I was wondering.
That's a sauna. That's a sauna.
Yeah, I think so.
Right here, yeah.
That's my room.
So we're going to be there. We're going to be there every night, and we'll branch out in different directions for day trips, and then come back to the same place. So you won't have to haul your gear around. We'll just be set up there and spoke out different directions each day.
Yeah, and the rooms are
the day you'll have a lunch to pick up on your way out to take with you.
And the accommodations are very spacious, and we'll have access to a place where we can all gather and meet.
And that'll be where you'll give presentations like you did last time, right?
Yeah, presumably. Yeah, because I mean, when we stayed there before, the room we were in, would have been easily accommodate 20 or 25 people.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's a nice big room.
Huge kitchen, dining area, living room area. Yeah, big hot tub in there. But yeah, with the restaurant, there's a a big space where they can do like wedding receptions and stuff. So there's a big space right across the street for that. If we need that bigger space, but yeah, some of the rooms are quite large. But then there's some of the original ones that are pretty small too. So yeah, there's a collection. It's been new ownership, I think, about five years ago.
What are the sites we're going to be going to look at? The basic itinerary. What's that going to be?
Well,
you want to run through that, Randall?
Well, sure.
I can pull up the website and go through the itinerary on there if you want.
Yeah, first day we run towards Spokane. But yeah, there's always more on the list that we're actually physically going to be able to get to, and as you go, like we found out, last October in Sedona, things just get squeezed out, and people really enjoy a certain spot, so you have to make decisions, and so we've put in a lot of sites just in case we were able to, best case scenario, get to all of them, but. There's no shortage of places to go in every direction out there. We could spend 2 weeks out there easily.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And it'll be flexible enough to where if we really love some site or we decide we want to hike some trail to go see some petroglyphs or something, we can do it, or like we did last time.
Oh, yeah.
Day one, it looks like we got to plan on in the evening because we'll be arriving all day. Day one in the evening, we're going to go check out the Potholes Cataract.
Oh, yeah.
That's day one?
That's the evening of
first night.
Day.
Yeah. We do some sunset over there. I think that'll work out.
Day two, head to Spokane Valley, conduit for floodwaters from Purcell Trench and Clark Fork Valley, Crab Creek Coulee Upper, Bowl and Pitcher State Park, Hangman Valley, side Latah Creek, Steptoe Butte Sunset.
Okay.
Woo! That's day three. We're only a day and a half into this thing. Can you imagine? Day three, toward Columbia River Gorge, conduit for floodwaters exiting the Scablands, Potholes Reservoir / Drumheller, Channels, Wallula Gap, Devil's Canyon, and Palouse Falls State Park.
Palouse rhymes with caboose.
Perfect. Palouse the caboose.
Okay, check.
Yeah, that day will be amazing.
Check this out, guys. Okay, so you said first day Potholes Cataract. Okay.
Yeah, that's the spot that really, blew Joe Rogan away because he, like most people, you can see it right away. You know what the heck that's from because you've seen it in a very tiny scale somewhere and along a creek in your life, but there it is, 3 miles long.
Right. The water came from the east, which is from the right, and this is a ridge. And it spilled over this ridge, and the waterfall gushed down about 1,000 feet into the level of the Columbia River. Each of these squares is a mile. So you can see right here, this is almost 2 miles wide. And then from the river, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles from the beginning of the entrenchment of the water here to where it finally spilled over. And it's called potholes because you can see the round potholes here that formed because of the incredible turbulence. The water here was probably on the order of 200 to 300 feet deep as it's pouring over the lip of this ridge, the Babcock Ridge. Yeah, here you can see the round, why it's called potholes. And then this is the blade rock, or the rock blade. And we actually, one of Brad's early drone excursions, was done from up on this rock blade. And where's a link for people to see that? It's online anywhere?
Oh yeah, it's on the YouTube channel, the GeocosmicREX channel.
Okay.
We can put that link, or we can put it in some different places to make it available, but youtube.com/GeocosmicREX.
Well, yeah. So then people will get a sense of, you can't really get the sense of the scale of this thing, but with that drone footage, you really do.
Yeah, is that the rock fin I lost my hat on?
No, that was in Grand Coulee.
No, Darren, you haven't been here yet, Darren.
Okay. Just making sure.
It's similar.
It all blends together.
Okay. This is an aerial photograph that we took, way back at probably 1998.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the first trip out there. Yeah, 98.
98, yeah. And here's your rock blade right there, which is a tip of. So these are two alcoves.
Right. So yeah, that was dry falls though. That was not potholes.
This is potholes.
Right there. That's dry falls.
All
the others are potholes.
That's where I lost my hat.
Yep.
Because
right in that
the top right,
that saddle just
oh yeah, because this is Sun Lakes and there is the visitor center.
Yeah.
You see the resort in this pic?
No, but the resort where we'll be staying is at the south end of this. This is Lower Grand Coulee here.
About 20 miles south of there.
But this.
Yeah, that's definitely potholes there.
Yeah. And this is Frenchman Coulee, which was another spillway.
Which I'm not even sure we're going to be able to get to.
Probably not. West Bar, one of the giant gravel bars with giant current ripples. You can look at this is a 3-story building down here, that little spot. Give you a sense of the scale. So we'll probably see this, won't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Current ripples in the Columbia. This is on West Bar, and you can see a little human figure down here for scale.
Is that Brad?
No, it's my brother Rowan, and he just photoshopped in, but it is the correct scale. However, when we get there, we've got to set this up beforehand so we get somebody who's going to rendezvous over to the other side of the river and hike down there so we can have an actual real person in the picture.
So the Brad's not like his job's not taken away by CGI.
Right.
Somebody's got to hand glide down in there. That's a long way.
That would be
I'll volunteer.
Hey, well, there's a landing strip down here. See, so you can actually drive down, and then you'd probably have to hike half a mile over these ripples.
Yeah.
But it does give you a sense of how awesomely huge these ripples really are.
I think Graham and I could squirrel suit parachute into that spot.
I think so.
You guys will just like fall down on the ground right at the base. I mean, it's
yeah,
guys in your imaginations.
So
we could get James to go in his wingsuit. Maybe he's like a professional skydiver. It depends how tall it is.
Right.
I think
the team grows. We're not going to be able to get there or there.
No, we won't get here.
Oh, where's that?
This is volcanic ash sandwiched in between giant flood sediments, showing that while the floods were sloshing across the land, there were huge volcanic eruptions blowing their tops. So it would have been a pretty hectic time. This is Wallula Gap. We are going to get to Wallula Gap.
Yeah, that's on day 3. Yes. Yep.
Okay. And we're gonna try to make our way up here to the overlook.
Yeah, depending on the capability of our vehicles, we'll determine how far we're going to have to hike.
So, if I go back to here, this top of this cliff right here is up here.
Yeah.
And this is the overlook. We would be looking down to Columbia here, which is to the west. And then we'd be looking up into Pasco Basin. So during the floods, there was so much water at one point that came through here that it reached all the way up to the rim of this cliff. So this whole area here was completely submerged. And here are some erosional remnants of the incredible erosional force as the water forced its way through this gap. Because see, what you have to realize when you go back here is you had water pouring in all directions. And it was all bottlenecking right here and trying to force its way through. And check over here, you've got some circular erosional features, which again is showing the vorticular turbulence of the water trying to push its way through the gap here. And right here where it says see Two Sisters, where the arrow is pointing right here, that is the Two Sisters right there. So prior to the floods ripping through here, the sill of this was up at the top of the Two Sisters. So all of this material in between got ripped away by the floods.
That's our original scale man, nickname Wilbur.
Yeah, that's our
What
original.
happened to Nick? Did he fall off something?
No, he just liked it up there so much he decided to stay there. So he's still there now. And when we go by through here, we wave to him. No, he's an acupuncturist and has a clinic outside of Atlanta. And he was a member of our very first recon trip out there in '98.
Should I roll on to day 4?
Sure. What's day 4 got us?
Day 4 is we head north toward the Okanagan Valley, which is in Canada. We're not going to go into Canada, just so you know. We'll be staying in the continental United States.
Right.
Toward the Okanagan River Valley, conduit for floodwaters directly from Canada. Withrow Moraine, Boulder Park, Moses Coulee, Big Bend Grand Terrace, and Yeager Rock.
Yeah, Jaeger. I think it's pronounced Jaeger Rock.
You mean we're staying in America?
We're staying in America, home of the free-ish.
Just a pointer here. We're an hour and a half plus.
Okay, well let's get to day 5 then, because that's the last full day we've got.
Okay,
and that's up and down Grand Coulee, the most grand floodwater eroded conduit, Sun Lake / Dry Falls Cataracts, Grand Coulee Dam Overlook, Steamboat Rock State Park, and then it just says Partay in all caps with an exclamation point.
Partay.
Partay.
I got the itinerary from Brad, so it's good. Official.
It's official. Can't wait.
Sticking to it.
And then after the party,
so 4 full days.
Yeah.
And then a partial day the first day when everybody gets there. And then, the next morning, everybody cuts out.
Yeah, and of course, that doesn't include some of the presentations we'll be doing in the evening. We'll be doing some stargazing with David Matheson. And then that's that Saturday morning, you just sort of wake up, hang out. We got to check out by noon. We'll have the shuttles leave, and then we'll send one van to Seattle to drop some people off, and one van to Spokane, and away you guys go. And then we'll decide whether or not we might be doing it all again, or we might not.
Yep.
I'll do one more screen share before we part.
Okay.
And
well, the week after this is this is why we shifted the program already, because the Sedona event, the Earth Origins conference is down there in Sedona. We're going to be participating in the 14th through the 16th. Or Randall's going to participate. I hope we're all going to get there.
Just one other thing I'll say quick is there is a note on if you go to the website, which is contactatthecabin.com/Carlson, there is a note that says day 2 and 4 are 200+ mile round trips. I mean, it is important that if you ain't down with driving, or you don't have to be in the van, if you want to follow along in a car or something, that's fine. But it's on you to keep up with us. Ideally, we would rather have everyone in the van. If not, that's fine. A couple of these days here, just be prepared to be, out in the field for 12 or so hours.
Yeah. That's right.
But you don't have to drive. We got the Snake Bros for that.
That's right. And drive home, it was like a sleeping truck. Everyone was passed out.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun though. Well, Brad
full of fun.
Brad tried to stay awake. Mostly he succeeded, but Randall definitely was sleeping on the way back.
The chats are not going to let us get out of here without that last promise screen share.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, Google Earth. And here's Soap Lake, and the resort we're staying in is right. It's probably this right here. I think it's this. But you can see here how it is at the south end of the Great Coulee. And we'll be traveling up this Coulee, and here we get into some amazing scabland right here. And here is the Great Cataract Complex that we'll be stopping at. Hopefully the visitor center will be open right here. We may get down into on the lower end. But yeah, so that's the Great Cataract Complex. And then we've got Upper Grand Coulee. And there's Steamboat Rock, which is an erosional remnant. Pre-flood, the basalt came continuously across here, but the flood came from the north up here from the direction of Grand Coulee Dam and just came right down this way. And let's see if I can pull this up, this map.
A lot of the places we're going to visit are places that we went with Graham Hancock and his wife in 2014 when he was researching for his book Magicians of the Gods.
Yes.
So there is a video series that you can find through the randallcarlson.com website. We did a series of short videos. They let me. Graham and Randall approved me going ahead. It was me with the camera, but they said, well, yeah, let's do some of this. So we got some interesting maps and graphics of the floods going through these different places, and just the two of them talking about where we are and Randall describing these events. So that's a good little series you can go through in less than an hour of 6 different videos of us out there.
Well, I got to say before we go, man, in the 6 years, 6 or 7 years, we've been talking to each other, man. This video presentation's come a long way. Zoom, the technology. I mean, remember the first time we tried to do slides and stuff like that? It was, nothing wanted to work, but it's looking great.
Isn't it though?
And especially the Cosmographia episodes with the editing and all that. It's fantastic.
Appreciate
props
that.
go to Brad and Kyle for all that. Kyle does the audio and then Brad does the video, and they come out amazing. So
by this time, people should know we've got Upper Grand Coulee, Lower Grand Coulee.
Randall, you're gonna have to switch your share if you're showing us a different map. We're still seeing Google Earth. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No problem.
I'm learning. There we go.
So this is the software I was talking about earlier. Yeah, that lets us see everything.
This incredible map software. So you can see here all of the flow forms from the water discharging out of Grand Coulee here. And this is called Quincy Basin right here. And this is Frenchman Springs Anticline. This is Crab Creek Anticline. And these are just upfolds. So they acted as a sort of a break, a dam. So when the great mass of floodwater came down, we had 9 miles across here where it says Potholes Reservoir. This is the Drumheller Channels, and we'll be we're going into Drumheller Channels, right, Brad?
Yeah, briefly. Well,
maybe the top end of it.
Yeah,
this is an amazing
Upper Goose Lake. Maybe we'll jump off the cliff over there again.
Oh yeah, okay, cliff jumping. Darren, we're going to be throwing you off the cliff into Goose Lake.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fine.
The detail. That's awesome.
This is a big spillway here. And then if we go over here, you'll see.
And then that's how it forced it to the west, to those pothole areas into the gorge, kind of?
Yes, exactly. So here's Potholes Cataract and Frenchman Cataract right here. So see, that's what we were just looking at.
So it kind of got jammed up there, and then in those 3 spots, like one went south and 2 went west.
Actually, and then there was another one, a smaller one, here.
Yeah.
Called Crater Coulee.
Huh.
Yep.
So, we'll be seeing a lot of that. And then let's go down here to Wallula Gap.
So that's all. Lots of agricultural fields out there. It was a temporary lake, so it's got all these nice sediments on the base of the Quincy Basin there.
Yeah, so this was where all of the waters came together right here at Wallula Gap and then forced their way through down to Columbia. And we will not get past Wallula Gap. We just, not unless we had 2 weeks. So it's going to be an awesome trip.
A lot of territory to cover.
A lot of territory to cover. We're going to do Palouse Falls, which is right in here. Yeah. This was the original Palouse River came this way and flowed down. This is the old Palouse River channel this way, and it flowed down into the Columbia over here. But when the great floodwaters came from the north, they came right down through here, and you can actually see the streamlined features, almost drumlin-like. You see that? All of this? So all of this was huge currents that came down this way, and when they hit the Palouse River, They basically just overflowed and cut a new channel right here. So once they cut that new channel, it diverted the Palouse River here, and it abandoned the old channel, which carried an enormous amount of water and then got filled with sediment. There's another spillway right here. It's like a big gash across the ridge. And this is Devil's Canyon, is it?
Right.
Yeah,
we mentioned that briefly in the last episode that just got released. So there's some good pictures of that one.
Oh, right.
It really, with that map, it really shows you the terrain. Like, it reminds me of just a little sandy creek bed, which you see like a shallow, tiny creek bed, except this is like 1,000 times bigger.
Yes,
exactly.
Like
so 1,000. This is the kind of presentation and map work that you get during the Zoom calls that we're doing.
Yes.
To orient everybody before the trip itself.
Right. The idea is to make this almost like a geology class leading up to the field work, so that people really have a good understanding of these processes, because that enhances the experience so much if you really understand what you're looking at. So,
totally. I'm telling you guys, it's a trip of a lifetime. You will not be sorry that you made it, and I highly suggest it. I mean, I never got one person that emailed after Colorado and was like, "This fucking sucked."
Randall, you had Steptoe Butte there you were trying to look for the other day. I didn't know if you want to point that out. That was where we were talking about day 2 sunset there.
Oh, yeah, that's the overlook of the rolling Palouse. Here it is right here.
There you go.
If it comes in, yeah, we're gonna make an excursion to the top of this, and from this butte right here, you get a 360-degree view of the whole Palouse, this amazing Palouse countryside. And it's spectacular. What can I say?
Definitely.
All right. Stargazing up there a little bit, maybe.
Well,
sunset.
We might as well stick around.
Yeah, might as well. And
Awesome.
we are going to have Dave Matthews on this trip, right?
We will have
Dave Matthews.
Cool.
The Star Myth guy will be.
So yeah, we'll be having star lore and star stories, and in being in some just really great country to see the stars.
And those myths of David Matheson's line up with Randall's stuff more than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, we flew through this. We ran out of time. I know everyone here would like us to keep going forever, but it is getting late. We're already 15 minutes over what we said we were going to do. So I think this is probably as good a time as any to start wrapping it up. But everyone should plug their stuff, because, I mean, the thing is, I mean, none of this, all this stuff is a ton of effort. It's a ton of work. I know the Snake Bros are all value for value over there. They've got a PayPal. I don't know exactly what it is. What is your PayPal?
Well, if people just go to brothersoftheserpent.com, they can find our PayPal or Patreon there.
Yeah, and then there's for Cosmographia, if you want to support Randall's work, there's a Patreon for that as well. You know, I'll say don't buy any courses at Sacred Geometry to support Randall's work. If you want to support Randall's work, it needs to be through randallcarlson.com.
Yes.
Or ideally through the Cosmographia Patreon, I think is the best way right now. Is that your ideal support channel? Okay. Mm-hmm. So those are the places. And if you want to support us, grimerica.ca/support, of course. But those are the things. I mean, for everyone that loves to hear Randall talk and wants all this stuff to keep going, that's how you keep this stuff going, because you know, none of the drug companies are lining up to give us hundreds of thousands of dollars to do all this stuff, or
that's right,
like that. So the only way we've gotten this far is from your support. So
well, let me clarify there just to be sure. Sorry, Darren. It's the Patreon account for Randall is, try to make it as simple as possible. Patreon.com/Randall Carlson.
That's right.
So the donations can go directly there. There is a one-time PayPal option. And then we are getting to the point, there's so much to be added to the new website, the randallcarlson.com. It's just a matter of time of getting it all in there, but we've got so many things, and it's just at a starting point. As much cool stuff is there and as good as it looks, you know, we're real happy with the designers and we partnered up with them, and there's going to be a lot more there. But what I was getting to, eventually we'll have subscriptions where you can, instead of using Patreon, some people don't want to do that, you'll be able to subscribe to things, get special access and perks directly from the randallcarlson.com site. So that's coming definitely in 2021.
Yeah, we got some pretty awesome things actually in the pipeline we haven't even talked about yet.
That's right.
But
do this again soon.
It's a growing network of really interesting people doing some really incredible work that will be, I think, allying with us as we get into 2021. So it's going to be an amazing team that's sort of gelling here. And, Brad and I and Russ and Kyle were working with HowTube. Yeah. And I think that's going to be a great umbrella. They've signed up Mark from After School. He's going to become one of the flagship pod websites. And then we're also going to be doing joining forces with Two Seals and a Walrus, which is Ben Johnson and Doug, forget his last name. I don't know him personally. I know Ben Johnson now quite well. And the moderator, Sean, is now going to be, what they're doing. Their Two Seals is because Doug and Ben are ex-Navy SEALs. Ben was 11 years a Navy SEAL, and he discovered that the best remedy for PTSD was the medicinal plants. So he's been working now. Actually, there's a pilot program at Emory University here in Atlanta. It's sort of on the down low, but not really. I mean, it's not getting any publicity, but it's not a secret. But they're using particularly mushrooms, but other medicinal plants, working with people who are having trauma issues, PTSD, that kind of thing. Our good friend Ben Johnson is in the forefront of that. And there's some money, resources coming in now to build probably the state-of-the-art laboratory in America, not far from my back door and up in North Georgia. And he is joining forces with us at HowTube and going to become the third flagship group. So we're going to be I'll be getting back on with those guys in the near future, and we'll be talking more in detail about what's happening there. And that's going to be a real game changer. Once it gets so, we're talking about licensed use of, medicinal plants.
Yeah.
They've already legalized it in some of the cities in the States. I mean, some cities are going on their own too. So it's very positive.
Very positive. Yeah. So we're forming some really incredible alliances here with some really creative people doing some really outstanding work. And we'll be having, joining them on podcasts. They'll be joining us. We'll be talking to members of the Comet research team. We'll be getting Jerome Lessman back on, and maybe some of his colleagues, to talk about, the great changes, the drumlins, and what the implication of those vast drumlins fields are. So, yeah, interesting stuff, exciting stuff. I can't wait.
You want to check all that out. And of course, if you do want to hang out with all of us crazy assholes in May or in April, all that stuff is available at contact@thecabin.com. That's where the May trip is right now. RandallCarlson.com, Grimerica.ca, brothersoftheserpent.com. Check all that stuff out. We hope you guys enjoyed our little swap cast, and we'll have to do more of these. I forgot how fun it was to chat with you. It's funner when we're sitting around a table, though.
Yeah. We'll be doing that.
And thank you, Darren and Graham, you guys, for all the work you guys do and for spearheading the trips and everything. You guys are awesome.
It has been great knowing you guys for these last 6 years.
Yeah, thanks.
The feelings.
I've had a lot of fun with you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Both up your way down in Colorado and hanging out on Zoom. So
that's right.
We're just getting started.
To be continued.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
That's
Merry
right.
Christmas.
All
Good
right.
night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Excellent show.
Bye-bye.